Hello, I'm going to be talking about the book Craig and Fred by Grossi. I love the book Craig and Fred. It was something about the suspense and the way Craig alternated chapters from the road trip that they were on and his experiences with that and Afghanistan in the war. I also like the way he would end every chapter. He would give a one sentence about what he learned in that chapter. For example, at the end of chapter 5, Craig writes, "One of the symptoms of isolation is a feeling that people just don't care, that they aren't interested in your experiences or your pain. But we are starting to see that that just wasn't true." So basically what he's saying there is when veterans come home, they feel isolated because people don't really understand their situation. But they're noticing when he writes, "We're starting to see that just wasn't true." He's saying what he learned. He learned that because with Fred, they could explain, they had a story to tell with their war experiences, which really helped them. I believe Craig and Fred is a book for 8th graders or above because it does talk a lot about war, which can be a little scary for young readers. It also has a lot of swear words. I think that relays tone because he's in a tough situation all the time with war and then his other experiences on the road trip or with post-traumatic stress, which, started in Afghanistan in the war. It may also be for people who like dog stories, suspense, or war times. There's a lot of suspense that Fred may not get home safe, which is, it really hooked me in with that. I believe the theme of Craig and Fred is companionship creates a bond that can help you with life's problems. This is shown throughout the book in many different ways. In the beginning, it talks about how Craig finished high school and didn't really have, he wasn't motivated to do something. So there was a problem and he didn't really know where to start or to solve this problem. He just needed a companion to lean on. And he got through it and decided to go join the Marines. In the middle, it talks about how in Afghanistan, Craig's crew loved Fred being around them. It made the Marines in Afghanistan and Fred more joyous in a particular unhappy place. So that shows it can help with life's problems. Companionship can. On page 70, it says, the next night when we lined up at the... On page 70, it says, the next night when we lined up at the door to head out, Fred scampers between us excitedly as he always did, ready for his nightly outing. This is a quote when he was in Afghanistan. Fred would want to join them on their missions out for support, and he probably didn't want to leave people that loved him. This quote shows that Fred likes being around the Marines just as the Marines do him. The Marines really loved this dog, and they needed to have some motives to get home, and one of their motives was Fred. They could see Fred and be like, there's good people out in the world like Fred, the dog, but not a person. But like, Fred had nothing to lose. He was in Afghanistan. Fred should have been a mean dog like all the rest of the dogs in Afghanistan. No human, they thought, like, treated him right. But he wagged his tail at Craig. In the end, Craig writes about how Fred helps him bring up his war experiences with strangers who ask about Fred. This makes it easier to talk about the hardships of war and make it a less heavy topic. Page 195, Craig writes, I introduced us the way I usually did, as two veterans taking the summer drive across the country, showing my Afghan dog America. In this section, he was talking to someone he just met, and it's easy for him to bring up Fred, the Afghan dog, and it's a nice transition to talk about how he is a veteran, because it helps him with his PTSD. Therefore, the theme throughout Craig and Fred is companionship creates a bond that can help you with life's problems. One author's craft technique I saw was symbolism. Throughout most of the book, Craig and Fred are on a road trip with a used car. I believe this used car represents Craig because, one, it's used, and Craig is kind of used because he's worn out, like the car's worn out, and he's worn out from the war, and he just wants a vacation, but he just wants to travel America. Two, it got stuck in mud, and that kind of represents Craig's roadblocks in life. For example, one roadblock he got was not knowing what to do after college, but he decided to go to the Marines, like how the car, he got it out of the mud. That was kind of like a way we can move on. We can drive this car to a new chapter in life, which was really, really interesting. I didn't see too much author's bias because he was like in the war, but something I did see was he talked about the Taliban, and I don't really know a lot about that, but he did say on page 71 the Taliban routinely use kids to place IEDs. So Craig, like, obviously he's fighting the Taliban, so he believes that they're bad. So I don't know, I think everyone thinks the Taliban's bad, but I'm not sure. I would have to do some more research on my own. I think the central idea of Craig and Fred is a Marine, a stray dog, and how they rescued each other. This makes sense because throughout the book, Fred made Craig stay on track. They kept each other on track. And it was something to live for after he got done with the Marines. The last sentence in the book states, "He had no idea what was next, but he trusted me. It was just the beginning." This quote shows how Fred and Craig have a great relationship after they rescued each other, and this relates to the theme that companionship creates a bond that can help you with life's problems. Thank you for listening to my book talk. Hope it was interesting.